conscious, conscious and determined, planned endeavor, strategic endeavor, how to disentangle oneself from this material attraction. And we have a bad start because we were not born in devotee families. We didn't get the Vaishnava birth. Now some souls, they're so fortunate now that they're born of devotee parents. So that will not apply. Like as Palama is saying to them, oh dear friends, born of demonic families, we have actually personalities now on this earth. They're born of devotee families. In the very beginning they get, the idea that Krishna is there, that Krishna is your friend, Krishna is your well-wisher. They get it from the very beginning. So how fortunate a birth it is that these devotees who are born in devotee families, they get such a good chance. But we, however, we have this, we've had this from the very beginning. So the only thing that we might take as an advantage is that since we've had it, we've got fed up, we've had it up to here, at the point we've reached a saturation point. And that's actually one boon in actually being engaged in Sanskrit. At one point you get sick of it, you get tired of it. Just understand that if I eat any more of this, I will not become more healthy, I'll simply become more sick. And I will suffer more. So then, having that experience, you can, with that distaste, that distaste you can favorably use for, pushing on your spiritual pursuit, spiritual endeavor. But still, even though we might have attained that distaste, we might have achieved that distaste, still because it is so deep, it might come up again and again, this material consciousness, to hanker for the material sense objects, like that. And so then we should keep these words in our mind, that after all, this is animal life, this is the animal platform of life, and animals are doing this, and we're supposed to do something higher. That is what Prahlad Maharaj is saying here. And we should connect it with Rupa Goswami and say that we should not work very hard because this prayas, this over-endeavoring, you can recite it again, because this is important. We should have this actually etched in our minds. It should be carved, like chisel carved into stone, like to over-endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. This prayas. This is prayas. And this must be, this we must strive to avoid. Because the material tendency is there, we have been born in this atheistic, we can say, eat, drink and be merry society. We've had a full dose of it. We've probably also got a mature distaste for it, but still it comes up, and then these things should be there in our mind. That it is animal life, and we're supposed to rise above it, and it destroys our devotional service. These things should be there. We should be able to bring them out, these instructions. When we get these tendencies, remember this. And this means that our intelligence is armed. If these things are there, and they come up, and Krishna, he helps us to remember these instructions, and remember them, then we take shelter, we grab onto these instructions, and then we might be able to overcome the mind's dictate or senses dictation. You do this. You eat that karmi, you eat that which is not offered. Take the items which are not offered first. That's basically what Krishna is. So eating only sin. So like that, or to talk loosely like that, to engage in, so sense gratification, it's connected to the tongue, it's connected to the genitals, eyes, all the senses. They have their objects for gratification. And we should know what these objects are. And we should know when the senses, they are actually pulling us towards sense gratification. And how that works with the mind, how the mind starts to give favorable arguments. It's thinking, feeling, willing. The mind is feeling the happiness it will get from connecting with this sense object, and this thinking, meditating upon the sense object, and then the willing is come, the willing to have it is coming up. But then the intelligence say, no, this is not favorable for our Krishna consciousness. We should try very much to avoid this. So this means that the intelligence has been firmly established. Buddhi pariyavatistate, as in the second chapter. Like when one sincerely practices Krishna consciousness, then after some time one's intelligence is firmly established. And that firmly established intelligence, that's able to control the mind, which is below the intelligence, from actually getting its way, from conquering the intelligence, and then for ourselves to engage in sense gratification. So it's only the intelligence that stops us, really. So that's why Prabhupada has given us these books, actually. Philosophy. Like I said, religion without philosophy is sentimentalism. Or is it fanaticism? Yeah. Religion without philosophy is fanaticism. So philosophy has to be there, and philosophy is meant for the intelligence. It is meant to enter into the... When we study, like the Bhagavad Gita, we worship Krishna with what? We worship Krishna with our intelligence. So that instruction in Bhagavad Gita, the Shastric injunctions, they're meant to actually strengthen our intelligence. They're meant for our intelligence, actually. So that whenever we perceive something in this world, we analyze it through our intelligence and realize, is this sense gratification or is this Krishna consciousness? This feeling I have, this determination I have, is this a feeling or determination for sense gratification, or is a feeling, determination for increased Krishna consciousness? And when you can, by intelligence, you can discriminate, then you can make the correct choice. But if your intelligence is not armed, that means if you don't study very carefully Bhagavad Gita, especially as the ABC, if it is not there, practically on the tips of our tongues, then our intelligence is not very nicely armed. And we will, most likely, we'll make a mistake here and there. Like we will choose the sense gratification, even though actually we don't want it, but because we don't have that really strong discrimination, then still we'll do it and we'll suffer for it. We'll get the reaction for it. Like that. So only when that intelligence is very keen, is very sharp, and then we'll be able to perfectly judge, am I now going for sense gratification? Am I going in this direction? Or that's my determination, is it now favorable? So that's actually desirable. That's actually what the devotee wants. He wants to be able to do this very nicely. So we should come to that point, actually. We should come to that desire that we want actually able to be judged nicely every situation that we're in, and to make the right choice, to do that which pleases Krishna, rather than do that which pleases our senses and ultimately displeases Krishna. Because we stay in the material world, migrating in all these different forms of life, if the sense gratification is chosen constantly. So we look now at this verse, and these were the important points that that in Kali Yuga we get a bad start. Of course, this is Hiranyakashipu, that is not Kali Yuga, it is a higher, but still a demonic birth is possible. And that material happiness is obtainable in any form of life, and that happiness is automatically obtained. So, because happiness is obtained without endeavor, it is available in any form of life, then why should you be so much concerned? Why should you use so much energy? Why should you use all your energy in going for it if it is automatically obtained? So that is what Prahlad Maharaj, that's instruction today, we try to remember from Prahlad Maharaj, is that since this comes automatically, why should you use all your energy in going for it? So we shouldn't. We should only use that energy which is necessary for sense gratification, because we have to have some sense gratification. We have to have something to eat to maintain the body and soul together, yes. We have to have some reasonable shelter, so that is the minimum basic requirement. We are allowed to work, that's allowed. We have a quota, like in the Upanishad, everyone is allotted a quota. So we have actually a quota of sense gratification, that is there needed for the upkeep of the material body. And that is allowed for us, that is allotted for us. So that is allowed. So that's what I say, working very hard. It's like we should work. Work has to be there, because we have to work in order to the quota to be there in order for us to go on in devotional service. So work has to be there. There's a lot of quota for us. But if by doing that, there's so much energy, so much surplus energy, that energy is meant to be directed, you can say consciously, for advancing in Krishna consciousness. And that's the gist of what we're being taught here. That's the gist of what Prahlad is saying. So we should be very greedy. We can be very actually greedy for that extra energy. We should be miserous in that sense. Okay, now I've used what I need for sense gratification, now I have all this extra energy. So now I should engage it nicely for making advancement in Krishna consciousness. So that's where you're allowed to be miser with your time, Because the devotee is very concerned about how he's using his time, that his time is not wasted. So you can be a miserly in that regard. How are you using your time? Is it engaged in the best way to make advancement? And when you get concerned that your day, the 24 hours of your day, that they are most beneficially engaged for you to make advancement in Krishna consciousness, then that greediness or that transcendental miserliness, that is actually favorable, for making advancement. You can be, very careful to see that your time is used very nicely for you to make advancement in Krishna consciousness. And when you make an intelligent endeavor like that, a constant endeavor like that, then you'll get better. You'll be able to use your time more efficiently and you get more benefit. The more you engage in devotional service, the more reciprocation you'll get from the spiritual master, from the Acharya, and ultimately from Krishna himself. Because that Prabhupada said, as you approach me, I reciprocate accordingly. So Prabhupada was doing that. The ones who were putting out extra endeavor, they were the ones who were getting more of his reciprocation. They were getting more instructions like that, more shelter, more guidance. So we get, as Krishna, as we surrender unto him, he reciprocates. So that is how we are concerned that our energy and our time are engaged as much as possible, as best as possible in Krishna service, because then we can expect a reciprocation. On the other hand, if we're not careful about how we use our time, we can also not expect Krishna to be very careful how he reciprocates with us. If we just neglect the conscious endeavor for Krishna consciousness, then how can we expect Krishna to be very consciously how he reciprocates with us? And not because we're not surrendering actually. So we'd like to have reciprocation of Krishna, and we'd like to have reciprocation of spiritual master and the Acharya, and that comes by following the instructions of the Mahajanas, of which Prahlad Maharaj is one of the 12 Mahajanas, and he's giving us very nice instructions today. So we try to speak something, and now it's 8:30, so maybe there's some comments or questions. Otherwise we can also go on. Yes?
It was a very nice point is that the scriptures, they are there to strengthen the intelligence, so that we actually, when we see the world around us, when we see the material energy, then we have some shastra which we can apply. So knowing how to deal with the energy, that was a very nice point, because if we just strengthen the intelligence but don't know the need of it, if we don't know that intelligence is actually meant to control the mind, then what's the use? So I thought that was a very nice point. I was wondering about this, you talked about prioritizing elements in the sadhana, like that there should be time to chant our rounds, and there should be time to engage in the ceremonies and this and that. But I was just thinking, I saw a letter from Srila Prabhupada where he talks about priority in spiritual life, and he actually says that the main priority is to go out on Harinam. And he says that comes first, and then japa, and then other things. And he says attending regular programs, that's the last thing.
Yeah, the interesting thing is Prabhupada says many different things.
Yeah.
And you find one letter regarding to sadhana. If these programs, regular programs, are neglected, then everything else we do will fail. So it is. So we should be careful when we take one thing like that and accept it as the absolute what Prabhupada said, as the ultimate thing Prabhupada said about this issue. But then again, when he saw that the sadhana was slack, like even his leaders, they were not following very nicely, they were not chanting properly, and the programs, they were like totally on the verge of being totally neglected, then he's saying, if this is neglected, everything will fail and everything will go to hell. There are statements like that. So that is actually a very important point. This is a very important topic of discussion. And ultimately, we have to rely upon this on the spiritual master. This is the spiritual master's task, to guide us properly. Because there may be some circumstance which can actually be favorable for you to be a little bit, maybe to engage in some other service than being at the program. That may be there. But for others to do that would be counterproductive. So these things we have to be careful that we don't generalize, because actually that will very much depend upon the individual. You see, but I have a whole list on. It's from the Prabhupada's letters. Whole list on sadhana, which is there. That are good things that the Prabhupada says that these regular programs, this standard program of the chanting, Guru Puja, Mangalati, if this is neglected, then everything else will fail. So things like that, they are there, and we can just think about it. If we neglect chanting our rounds, just try to do that for a week. Just see what happens, It is a safety net, These instructions, that chanting and the Mangala like that, this is a safety net. So if it is not there, and if we go out, even strong preachers, if they went out alone and preaching, like I had strong preachers, they told it intimately to me, they just felt that batteries, they just went down, without the devotee association. So these things, devotee association, the standard program, this is like our safety net. So we always must be in touch with our safety net, because the mind is strong, when we are alone, she may snap us. But if you're together with devotees, it's very difficult to be broken, by mind in a sense, when there's shelters there of devotees. So we should read all Prabhupada's instructions and then be able to say, how does it apply to time, place and circumstance? Only then can you know the science. If we just take one quote like that and accept as absolute, then we're not fully educated, we're only half educated. We should look at all the quotes and then see how it's applied to time, place and circumstance. Then we can actually know how to apply the principle in practice. So I would advise you also read those quotes, go through that, because you probably got to read all Prabhupada's books, right? And then after having read Prabhupada's book, you have his letters, you have his conversations, so much instruction on there. And by reading Prabhupada's letters and the conversations, you know how he applies the principles in practice, according to time, place and circumstance. That's very much helpful. I think that was it.
No, it was very nice also for me personally to remind me of this. I remember also Srila Maharaj, he also said when he came that he was making a world tour fundraising in Bauneholm, and he said every fundraising starts from the morning program. He said if you skip Mangalati or Guru Puja, there will be no fundraising. Srila Maharaj and Krishna or something, they were touring the world to teach devotees how to make fundraising. He said, and cleanliness in the temple. He said, you can understand the mind of everyone in the temple by seeing the cleanliness in the temple. So he went into our bathroom and checked that. And then he said, not so good. Could come high up to stand up. So it's a good reminder. Like this, also, if we want to be together, like I remember when Gaura Prabhu was here, and there were just like one or two for Guru Puja, and he was so shocked. But it's just that, it's not that somebody comes from outside to point faults. It's just that their experience and their togetherness with Prabhupada, these things, because we may, like individuals in our Guru Puja, But you know, when we go here and there, but maybe anyway. But it is a point maybe we can take up with our
something
local
that should be thought about,
authorities
assuming-
with the Burukuch, because we have not like focused on that here in our temple, and he specifically mentioned that importance, because we are mainly coming from Mangalati.
Yes, so is there anything else? So,
I was wondering about the instructions of the spiritual master, because sometimes we don't see him physically, but we read Prabhupada's books, and so these instructions, will they be given to you also through Prabhupada's books? And
well, that is, well, actually, if your spiritual master is present, you can say, then you should try to get personal instructions. Because actually, if he doesn't give you personal instructions, then you are slightly cheated yourself out of the benefit of having a relation with the bona fide spiritual master. Actually, that's in Tell the Disciple. He will ask the spiritual master, how should I serve you? You can even ask it, can you please give me some instructions of how I can serve you? And then the spiritual master will go out of his way to think about you in particular, and give you some nice instructions which you can follow for the rest of your life. And with those instructions, because you have the service of the spiritual master in his physical form, and you have the service of his instructions. So if you are so fortunate that you can secure personal instructions, that you can worship, and you, by following them and obeying those instructions, then you can meditate on your spiritual master, because you're meditating upon his instructions, then you're very fortunate.
but what if he gives you some general instructions? Please help him to spread the sanctification all over the world.
Yeah, if that is he gives you that, then why not? You can also worship that. It doesn't need to be anything. It's not a, but he gives you one instruction. That the Spirit man gives you some particular instruction to follow. No, that's desirable, and actually it's bona fide. It's authorized to request the spiritual master and to give one such instructions. Of course, he may choose not to give. You may have to try a bit more sincere. Maybe you're not sincere enough about it, that he will, that he might not immediately give. So we have to earn that benediction, that he gives us some particular instruction. But it is authorized. We can endeavor for that. It is beneficial if you do it. And if you get it, the benefit is that you can worship these instructions. These particular instructions which you got from your spiritual master, you can worship them, and you can very carefully execute them, and in that you'll be meditating on your spiritual master. And if that meditation becomes very strong, then that will be very helpful even at the point of death. Because we can very easily relate to the spiritual master because it's the external representation of the super soul. So it's more easy to relate to the spiritual master as a representative of Krishna than to relate to the super soul directly, or Krishna, or even Prabhupada, like that. So this relationship is so important, the relation with our spiritual master. And we want to get that facility to meditate on the spiritual master. So it is authorized to ask the spiritual master for specific instructions. And if we can actually get them, and you actually got some nice instruction. You asked and you got some nice instructions. You can meditate on these instructions. You can make some substance of your life, and you'll be meditating on your spiritual master. And the thing is that that's the Diksha Guru, and that's also the Shiksha Guru. So we can also get instruction from a Shiksha Guru if you don't get it from an initiating spiritual master. If we have faith in a sadhu, like if we have strong faith in a particular sadhu, we can get instruction from him. And then we can meditate. And also we will find that some, they're not only meditating, they also have some meditation on instruction from godbrothers of the spiritual master. Like Radhanath Maharaj, he came and he gave this very nice instruction that this city of Copenhagen you can conquer by Harinam and Prasadam. So this is nice because now we touch upon, because we're going out with Harinam and Prasadam today. So Radhanath Maharaj said that this city of Copenhagen, it can be conquered by Harinam, Prasadam and theatre. So we have now trying to engage in Harinam and Prasadam distribution. We still have the theatre to go, and that's not there, but maybe sometime in the future we may actually get that determination and get that desire fulfilled also, that we can have some theatre. Maybe even for Festival of India, which is coming up now, if somehow we can get together and organize that. So like that, we want to meditate on the spiritual master, we want to meditate on his God, like on the sadhu, like the advanced, elevated Vaishnava, who is also representing, he is also externally representing the super soul. And like that, we can we can try and make advancement. We like to make advancement. So, thank you very much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.